Pastor Jarrett here with another quick book review. This one, The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel, a journalist's personal investigation of an evidence for Jesus. This is actually an old book copy. Some people who have known the new copy, it looks a lot different than this one. This came out around when he originally published the books in late 90s, early 2000s. And so this is one of the older copies. The new ones look a little different in the cover. But the evidence in it, even though this has been a while since it was published, the evidence is so very, very excellent in it. It's actually one of the preferred ones I like about the Case for Christ. Part of it, maybe somewhat subjective, both me and my wife, this was key to our building up and strengthen our faith. And even my wife coming to faith in Christ was this book. So this has a special place in our hearts. And as you will look through it, in my copy, I have a lot of notes, underlines, and stuff in it. Um, and so I've been through this. It's an excellent book. Now, just kind of read you the back of the book. Is there credible evidence that Jesus of Nazareth was real? Is the Son of God? Retracting his own spiritual journey from atheist to faith, Lee Strobel, a former legal editor of the Chicago Tribune, cross-examines a dozen experts with doctorates from the school of like Cambridge and Princeton and Brandeis, who are recognized authorities in their own fields. Strobel challenges them with questions like, how reliable is the New Testament? Does evidence exist for Jesus outside the Bible? Is there any reason to believe that the resurrection was an actual event? Strobel's tough, point-blank questions make this remarkable book read like a captivating, fast-paced novel. But it's not fiction. It's riveting quest for truth about the history most compelling figure. What will your verdict be in a case for Christianity? Uh, just kind of give you some information about Lee Strobel. He has a master's degree and law degree from Yale Law School and was an award-winning journalist at Chicago Tribune. Now, what led him to write this book? He was an atheist originally, and his both him and his wife were atheists. He didn't believe in God, and then his wife became a Christian, and this made things really uncomfortable in their marriage and stuff. And he said, "That's it. I'm going to disprove Christianity." And as he went to go disprove Christianity, he found out that Christianity was true. And after he discovered Christianity true, he eventually ends up writing this book, which revisits a lot of the arguments and stuff he had to investigate himself. So this is not the exact events of how it happened, but it gives you an idea what was the quest that he went on. The book is divided up into three parts, and the first would be the examining the record, the second analyzing Jesus, and the third researching the resurrection. So in the first part, he first looked at the eyewitness evidence. So do we have good eyewitness evidence? The second chapter is testing the eyewitness, and this is where he examines are the eye testimony reliable. Third, the documentary evidence. Were the Jesus biography reliable preserved for us? So this is where he looks into, okay, we have these New Testament, but were they faithfully preserved? Are these similar to what was originally written, or have they been changed or modified over time? Four, corroborating evidence, and this is where you look for evidence outside the Bible or extra biblical evidence. So this is evidence outside the Bible that points to, yes, Jesus was a real person. Yes, he really said and did. For example, Josephus or Pliny the Younger. Scientific evidence. Does the stories and events and the location doesn't match up with archaeological and historical accounts of that time period? And rebuttaling the evidence. Was the Jesus of history the same as the Jesus of faith? And that's how liberals like to separate it. That's how secularists like to divide it. That there's the Jesus history and then there's Jesus faith. And as Lee Strobel discovers that the Jesus faith and Jesus history are actually the same person and not separate. Then going to part two, he says identity evidence. So does Jesus actually claim to be the Son of God? Or is that something we apply on him? And as he studies that, he discovers yes, which leads to the second one is the psychological evidence. In other words, they look at Jesus and he says he's the Son of God, okay, but is he just crazy? Is he just loony? Is he the same as the crazy guy down the street who says, I'm George Washington, or I'm the king, or I'm God? And does Jesus match these characters of someone who's crazy? And as he'll look into it, he discovers no, there's no evidence that Jesus was crazy. Number nine, profile evidence. Did the character of Jesus match, which would be the character of God? Did the character attributes of Jesus match the character attributes of God? Number 10, the fingerprint evidence. Did Jesus and Jesus alone fulfill the Messiah? Okay, so he lived a certain way. His life, death, burial didn't match what we thought the Messiah would be like. If he did, then that's a good indication. If he didn't, then he's not the Messiah. Then he's not God. Then he's a false prophet. And so you look at does he match what we should be looking for in the Messiah according to the Old Testament. Number 11, the medical evidence. Was Jesus really dead? Basically, and could he have got and if or was he just beaten up real good and he was still able to walk away? And as you look into it, yes, he was really dead. Number 12, was the body really missing? Okay, was it really an empty tomb? Maybe you got the wrong location, and they'll look into it and discover yes, the body was missing. Chapter 13, the evidence for appearing. Did people actually see Jesus alive? This is critical. Did he actually see that? Were there multiple witnesses to seeing that Jesus was really alive? And not just alive, but healthy and alive, not being up, bruised alive, but alive like nothing ever happened. Number 14, the circumstantial evidence. Are there any supporting facts that point to the resurrection? And then finally, he does a conclusion. And so he does a real good job of tackling these three areas. Uh, do we have good evidence, a good historical document evidence that Jesus, who he said it was, does it match? Does it is the Jesus that we see? Is he really God? Is he really the Messiah? And was there really a death, burial, empty tomb, and resurrection? And so he looks at it. It's a very good book. It's a very quick read. I highly recommend it. They do have a DVD form of it, but I always like the books better. They tell you a lot more. And I'm sure there's a revised edition now. Maybe you have more evidence in it. But even if you have an old copy like this and you get on Amazon, it's highly worth reading. I would highly recommend it. And like I said, this was one of the key books that was key for me and my wife. So I highly recommend you pick up the book. God bless you and have a great day.